Okay.
Okay,
Okay, it's episode 91 of Inane Blather.
91.
Your favorite podcast. Not the best podcast.
Not the best.
But your favorite podcast. Slightly better than just repeating the sound of a metal pipe falling over and over again for 58 minutes.
I mean,
Slightly better.
On a good day, maybe we're, that's one of our best episodes.
But mostly, and only because you feel like you're part of a community of...
headstrong, stubborn, quibbling, self-centered, vindictive, obnoxious, hormonal, sexually preoccupied, evil, thieving, cross-dressing jerks.
Boring.
How was that intro?
Boring.
Better than a pipe falling from a building or whatever.
Go kill yourself. Go sit in the middle of the road and let a car run over you.
So, instead of being all fired up, we're all fired down. You seem fired down, Natalie. You seem like
it's one of those.
You look like you have something to say. Do you?
Yeah.
I wonder who knows that reference. Do you?
It's those
things
that get to an idealist, I'm not a cynic, I'm an optimist and all this kind of stuff, but sometimes it can just be like...
Sometimes it do be like that.
It do be like that, and I'm never gonna stop,
Believe
pushing the arc of the moral universe towards justice, but we're just sitting here talking about inequality. I mean, like how Trump is like, so they reduced down. He's like, he can put up $175 million in 10 days or whatever for his bond, because he owes 460 something. It's like, wow, must be nice. Must be nice to be able to like have like different things afforded to you. Okay, fine, we'll give you 10 days. We'll give you longer time. Instead of like
fine. You
literally
can
having to sit in. Yeah.
You can be out in public campaigning for president while
talking shit about this motherfucking trial that you're in. Just blatantly, openly, just...
While young black men are waiting for their court date in Rikers Island. When they haven't been convicted of anything yet, losing their jobs, losing all of their social connections, ruining their life, becoming part of the justice system in the country with the highest recidivism rate in the developed world by far.
And that's sort of a planned thing. Yeah.
For so many people guaranteeing that they will go back to jail for something. And, all just because you did something stupid like to run over a police officer with your car or whatever it might be. Something to steal from Walgreens.
Run over a police officer. I thought we were talking about doing crimes. Yeah.
I'm
Not
saying they haven't even been
service.
convicted yet. They didn't even commit a crime. But meanwhile, a blowhard, legitimate fool, a moron,
criminal, and like they're saying like his stuff is victimless crimes. It's like, then why is it illegal? If there's no victim, then why would there be a rule against it if it doesn't fucking matter? And then they're like, oh, but all these real estate guys do it, and it's like, then we got a problem here. We got a problem here, I think. If everything you're doing is super sleazy and
that just makes
like
me
you're
smart.
saying, if everyone that's right. It makes me smart.
Maybe he just doesn't know what he's doing. He's just like...
The Marxists, the anarchists, the agitators, the looters, and people who, in many instances, have absolutely no clue what they are doing.
And
that's the sound his head makes when he's walking around. Just constant.
Boeing CEO just gets to step down. It's like some rich guy where it's like, people drive too fast, and they, there's horrible accidents, and they kill people that they love. on accident. It's like, really, there wasn't a profit motive for doing any of that. I'll tell you that much. It was having fun with their friend. They die in a car accident. You know what happens to that person who's still alive and was driving? They get charged with
manslaughter.
you can do some time. Yeah.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Vehicular manslaughter. And so this Boeing CEO,
or for the
it's like
thousands and thousands of people that go to jail for driving drunk. Something that's a bad thing to do. It's against the law for a reason.
Yeah.
And people do it. And they go to jail.
And you just get to do things. And you know what? The buck stops with these CEOs. Isn't that why you get to make all this money? Because these decisions, it's so stressful. Things come down to you. So do they? Do you have to answer for them? Or can you just quit like a little
taking
bitch?
all the risk. They're the business owner. They're taking the risk.
I can just
risk of
quit with
what?
hundreds of millions of dollars. Yeah. Of what? Looking bad and being a millionaire? Wow, that would be so hard for you, to have made millions of dollars while people literally fucking died because of your choices, because you cared about money, because you're a disgusting loser who cared about making some money. If you don't fucking kill yourself, Boeing CEO. You can join that whistleblower, and you deserve it.
Go kill
Fuck
yourself.
You.
Go sit.
Exactly. I mean, hey, whatever. That's not very nice of me. This is one of my days where it's really hard just to not... this is why people become motherfucking terrorists. Because where is the accountability? These people do these things.
The American people are tired of women.
Nice.
No,
nice.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, for one thing, you're talking about people in charge at Boeing or something. And it's like someone goes to jail for driving drunk because they could kill someone. Meanwhile, how much
literally
jail
had a
time
plane
did the
do a
Sackler
nosedive.
family do?
Yeah.
How much jail time is anyone at Boeing gonna do? When planes crash and literally every single person on board dies in fiery wreckage.
And you know what? Maybe you don't have to do jail time because I'm not all about the prison and it's not helpful or whatever. But maybe you can just be held accountable. Maybe now you have to actually do some fucking community service. Maybe you have to answer to these families. Maybe you have to have some fucking uncomfortable conversations with the people whose loved ones you killed. It's your fault that they're dead. At least in part. And if you can't admit that, I mean, what is even the point of these CEOs? What are they doing? Why do they make so much money?
If you can't admit that, then what was your job? Yeah. What did you contribute if the, negative effects of your company don't fall on you? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But all the positives, you get all the profit, you get all the nice, comfortable living from all that, you get all these physical benefits and stuff, and all the glory that comes with it, and all the glory holes that probably come with it, and all these private islands, you get to hang around with all these celebrities and do whatever you do because you're fucking rich. Yeah. And then when it comes to actually answering for something going wrong, you quit like a bitch. What a fucking coward.
When
I mean, not that he shouldn't quit, but just what a
meanwhile
dumb
these
fucking
rich
loser.
people get to do whatever they want, and when accountability starts coming and knocking, Jeffrey Epstein is murdered, and everyone knows it, and nothing happens. It's not even a conspiracy theory. Everyone knows. Come on, it's just something that happened right in front of all of us. It's just as a shining example of the two-tiered, not even just justice system, but reality that we all live in.
Sick word for it. Justice.
Right, yeah. It's not even a systemic thing. It's reality itself. People, just a world that the majority of people will never, ever live in terms of responsibilities, accountability, let alone just your day-to-day comfort in this so short life that you have.
Boring.
But
no, you gotta use it. Exactly. You have this life that's as comfortable as possible, and then those Boeing planes that went down killing every single person, little kids and stuff. You're talking, it's what did you do after that? Did you do better? You didn't even learn. If I had 180 people's deaths on my conscience, I don't know. I think I'd really seek some therapy, or really do different or better, because I don't know how they can fucking sleep with that on their mind.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
I know that things
meanwhile-
happen and there are unintended consequences and stuff like that, but it's like, I don't know. Doesn't seem very unintended when you had all these warnings.
Meanwhile, the
seems like
people
negligence.
with societal power get to not only make sure everything is set up so that they don't see the same accountability as a normal person does, but also get to have the years of entrenched societal influence and propaganda to make normal people be on their side through stupidity, hate.
Ignorance.
It's just like yesterday or last night, this morning, Dateline for the podcast, through whatever malfunctions that are some people's fault, whether systemically through lack of quality control, through whatever it might be, a fucking cargo ship ran into the bridge in Baltimore, took the whole thing down. 6 people are dead, and it's like, things like this happen, and like normal people are involved, but it's not like So, and whatever is actually responsible for it, instead, they get to live in this bubble, defended by people who, at this point, automatically, like Pavlov's dog, except dumber than a dog, say, see?
Sit around and lick their own balls.
DEI. See what happens with DEI? People are already saying that. Either people are saying, yep, this is what happens. You lower standards. DEI is probably a bunch of black lesbians were on the ship. That's
amazing.
Why.
How
It is
incredibly
insane.
fucking racist
Yes.
and sexist
people say
people
that.
can just be by saying
The people that aren't saying
it's
it,
DEI.
yeah. Oh, it was intentional. Oh, it's a conspiracy. It's intentional. Or it was racist, insert racist reason or whatever. It's like, so you've got this like automatic
it's
buffer
either, let's
of
see,
people
it's
who
either
will
the
never
Jews
believe...
did it or black people are stupid. Those are the two
Yeah.
options that people jump to. Cool, America. You got yourself a cool society going there.
They literally think that accidents happen because of wokeness instead of people making too much money. Like people not having accountability for bad products, lacking infrastructure, lack of training and quality control, all sorts of stuff. Because accidents will happen, but there's like this baseline,
so there's a lot of oversight.
But accidents
in some
are
of these things that can
preventable.
have,
There's a reason they're accidents,
That DEI thing, it's so shocking to hear people say that about like,
oh boy,
just so blatantly being like, well, with DEI, your standards are lowered. You're like, because there are more people of color and women, that's lower standards.
Yeah.
It's like they're still doing the same, like meeting the standards and things.
No.
And like,
no, if you're on Twitter,
what DEI
it's
is
just straight up
like
racism.
people taking into account people being held accountable for their own inherent biases during an interview process in like these universities or companies. You're supposed to be like, you're supposed to take these trainings and you're actually supposed to learn. Like that's what DEI is. You can still hire a white guy, if that's, which still happens a lot, obviously.
You're literally
but it's like
expanding the pool. It's the opposite of lowering standards. But it's like,
but if you're expanding it to black people and women, then that means you're just letting them in because they're black and women, because they couldn't possibly be smart enough to do this job because
otherwise
they're black
I'd
and they're
be in
women.
there.
Come on.
I would be
exactly.
the airplane pilot. I swear. But there's a bunch of black people must have got into school and did all this stuff that I didn't do because I'm the real victim here. Not all those people that died because Boeing cut
And
corners,
it's like
or because
all of those, it's like
the systems
what
on
story?
that ship went out.
What story have you ever heard or read or seen or whatever that, again, the rich people were the good guys and that diversity was a problem? It's like, when has that ever been true in any imagining or in real life?
Well, in imagining, that happens all the time. I mean,
I guess to racists.
Yes.
I mean, in good imaginings of like coherent stories and not just bigoted fever dreams, you know?
Well, the problem is, it's just this becoming this snowball where it's like
snowflake ball.
Yeah. Before you had people with societal power, whether political or capital or whatever it might be, just welcoming this type of ignorance because it helps them, right? Because it gives them this buffer, or because it like it's economics. All this ignorance makes people think that giving me tax cuts will actually be good for them, stuff like that. Or people think that it's like, well, if anything goes wrong, it's not my fault, it's DEI, it's not the fact that I was cutting corners at the factory, all that stuff. And now it reinforces itself so that now these people with power that are in the public eye, like Elon fucking Musk, just straight up say it. And then since they are the successful ones and they're just saying the racist stuff in public, whatever it might be, then it just solidifies that point with these ignorant people. It's not their fault. They're ignorant, It's like, it's racists, it's morons, it's the common clay of the New West, but it's like a purposeful buffer of ignorance among the populace, among the way that you get people to not only advocate for and vote against their own things that are against their own self-interest, but then also like get them to scream at people who aren't ignorant, like get them to eventually just burn crosses in the yards of people who know that 2 + 2 = 4, and that the rich people aren't the good guys ever.
All this type of stuff about being like a snowflake and we're so soft and all this kind of stuff. Do you know how hard it is to stay soft? It's really hard to stay soft in a hard world. Like, it's really something that you have to actively do, because it's easy to be like that and put your head in the sand and blame other people and be angry and other people and point the
Yeah.
It's really easy
It's a
to do,
shortcut.
and it's really what you have to do as people like us is you have to feel these feelings and still at the end of this come out with compassion for these stupid ignorant motherfuckers that make life hard for other people and sometimes kill other people and all this kinds of stuff. And you have to come out of it because it's the right way to be, is to be extending understanding to people, and like that's how people grow. And it's really hard. Being a snowflake is like very hard work to remain so fragile and understanding and compassionate and empathetic instead of just going to cynicism is such the easy way out. I have so much just like, it is so easy to be like, it's always been like this and blah, 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 blah. And this is whatever it is, all these kinds of things, or to blame other people. It's just so easy. It's so much more
the
work.
easy way, but once you learn the realities, it's also easy to see like the truth. It's just hard to do something, to feel like you're doing something, which leads to cynicism.
Well, it's easy to see the truth for sure.
Yeah,
but
so
that's
it's
what I mean.
like- because it's also easy to not is the problem. It's the dumb way out, the dumb cynicism, the ignorant path is always given to you on a platter. As
the
you're going
path
through
of the
your
ostrich.
yeah, because that benefits those who are putting it out. But and then it's like, then these people that complain about snowflakes or whatever it might be, once they actually, they think that they're the ones that are keeping it real, the conspiracy theorists, the anti-Semites, all the morons, like once they actually do finally get the tiniest thing, it freaks them out when they realize what it's like to be the snowflake in the situation. And it's so funny, just a couple days ago, the Babylon Bee finally said something funny, semi-funny for once. It was actually like an Onion headline. I can't quite remember. Geez, I wish I just had it bookmarked or something, but it was all over Twitter the past couple days because Babylon Bee put out this thing. It's kind of funny photoshopped image of this guy in front of his Confederate and Nazi flags, and it said, we must keep our master race pure, says disfigured product of inbreeding or something like that. And it shows this dumb white racist guy, and the people who love the Babylon Bee up until that point freaked out. Oof. And everyone was there to tell them, like, see? Wow. Look who's a snowflake, huh? You can't take a joke, huh? And they were like, oh, I can't believe... Immediately, all these people were like, I knew it. It's run by Jews. Oh, they're horrible. I can't believe you would say this. This isn't funny. This isn't funny. This is anti-white racism. It was insane. It is... I mean, it's hilarious, but... just in that negative way where it's like, fine, fuck you. Finally, you get it. Finally, you understand what any sort of pushback against you as like an identity, as any sort of group actually is. And it's
being the butt of
a
the
little
joke.
Joke. Yeah. It's one like very straightforward joke that's been made before, but it was just kind of well put, looked like an Onion headline instead, which is why it was finally humorous in any way whatsoever. And they lost it. And it's like, can you imagine like if you, this freaking out white supremacist reader, like if you had an ounce of empathy and realized like, oh my God, what if I was getting picked on constantly by the people who have power over me? What if my life was like this? Like, what if, I was black and seeing all the shit that I am currently posting, all the stone toss that I'm retweeting all the time or something like that. Like, that's
what I mean about it's so much harder being like a snowflake because you do that. Because you're thinking about the way that your actions and like your privilege and all this, and you can feel like shitty about things you've done in your past and like ways that you've maybe exacerbated a problem and all these kinds of things. And that is what growth looks like. And that's what growth feels like. It's really painful because you have to change because you're doing something that you don't want to be doing. So you have to change that. And that takes active, intentional effort instead of just
being in power, not having to ever experience. Yeah, exactly. Obviously you have this monarchical kind of thing going on. Until finally one little pinprick of light shining through of reality. One little pinprick of reality check is blinding at that point. What's wrong with you? Why would you say that about me?
I pulled my head out of the sand for 1 second.
And so I guess I was so used to the darkness under there that an overcast day, I was like Han Solo coming out of carbonite. But I've just been used to my own perspective, my own opinion, my own thoughts all the time, just being reinforced by my own, life that I'm having and not extending that to anyone else. And that really worked for me because it was really easy. I didn't have to think about anybody else. I just had to think about myself. And it was amazing. It was like how toddlers because I'm right here.
Exactly. I'm like, I'm right here and I want to give myself everything because, it's really fun to be selfish and to not, it's really easy. It's really easy to just like not give a shit. Though I would say deep down, it's not. I think that the thing that makes the people so angry and weird is because there is something there that's
Well,
like
it's either that or it's people that
if you want to
don't
say a red
have
flag
a deep
or
down.
whatever.
That's the problem.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Ow.
That's where sociopathy comes from, right? You know, there is no deep down that's reminding them of that.
Well, that can be learned, I think, by a very careless and cruel society. I think
Sure.
you can learn those kinds of behaviors because kids are not like that. Babies are not like that. You know, that's something that would be learned from horrible examples from all of our media and society and our figures that are like authority figures and they're horrible and awful and racist and sexist. You know,
Well,
there's been a
kids-
couple good ones, and
You know what? I had here in here. In my
You're ugly.
So tell me about
you're
a time and a
disgusting.
yeah.
in my notes a response to the last podcast, and we were talking about like, come on, like, don't you want the next generation to have it better? We were talking about something like that, you know, instead of like this antipathy at best towards people having it better for further generations on. But Discontent Provider, shout out Discontent Provider, just with a fire take had responded to our to this episode. And he says, the dreadful attitudes you describe aren't the sole preserve of boomers. The sad, rarely spoken truth is that people have always subconsciously loathed their offspring, and small wonder, as the sight dims, as the limbs fail, and as the touch of death's chill talons becomes more tangible with each passing day. What could be more natural than to resent the vivacity and strength of youth? With their parental authority revealed as the hollow sham it is, all they can do is attempt to wield a specious moral authority. I gave you everything. You owe me a debt of filial loyalty you'll never be able to pay, you ungrateful little fuck stump. Now wipe my ass. Frankly, I blame people's morbid terror of their own frailty and ineluctable, I'm too stupid for their beautiful writing, ineluctable mortality, which is why I've always espoused a stoic acceptance and never had kids.
Yeah.
But that's
I
the
feel like
deep
it is
down
interesting-
that people aren't dealing with that you're talking about.
Today, I talked to someone, though. It is interesting, the attitudes of, like, I don't know, whatever you want to say. I don't want to say it. This woman, she donated. She was awesome, like a very generous person, like I talked to today, donating to this nonprofit that I was fundraising for. But she did say, you know, like, oh, kids, like, so spoiled. Like, in Americans, she was not from the United States. And mind you, she donated to a nonprofit organization, like, very generously. But, and it was like a cool conversation, but just saying like how spoiled we are in some ways, which I can definitely agree. Like, United States doesn't have like war here, you know, like we don't have those kinds of things like Europe has had to deal with, like world wars and stuff like that. But like saying kids don't have to live through it, and I'm like, yeah. And isn't that so?
We had the war on COVID, killed way more people.
Yeah. Like kids don't have to live through war or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, I'm glad that kids don't have to live through be the products of war. But it was a little bit of like looking down on us. It's like, but don't you want there to be less war? Wouldn't it be nice if kids didn't ever have to live through a war ever, to teach them like
that we
gratitude
have
or something?
It's not good that you had that. That's the problem.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like that should have never happened.
Yeah.
You know, like it would be nice if people could have just avoided war to begin with and used their words like adults, which is what I would say, you know what? Good on millennials for really trying our best. That's why we're so suicidally depressed all the time, trying to break these cycles of generational trauma and wanting better and really like legit. Hopefully we can hold on to this wanting better for our kids and like wanting to give a better future, because you know what? Millennials here in the United States, first generation to not be better off. So it isn't just that it was like,
So we're
like, oh, this
not
happened, boomers or whatever.
spoiled.
Like, boomers literally, set us up for failure, like in ways that has not happened before.
Yeah.
So it is.
That's putting
an interesting
aside
thing
the
that
slow heat death of the earth through global warming.
Yeah, don't even get me started on how these CEOs of Exxon and stuff just get to live their whole lives being millionaires, and then just a bunch of like climate refugees will just die of, diseases and things like that, or be displaced from their, homes all along the coastlines, which is most of the world's population. And these
why don't they
motherfuckers
just
get to
sell
sit
their
around and they're
homes?
like, Aquaman. Yeah.
Okay, Natalie.
Shout out H Bomber guy. Yeah. But it's just really disgusting. It just really can really get you pretty low sometimes to think about just how unequal, like what inequality really means, and like the unequal hand of justice, and like how it affects real people's lives. People losing family members, people not having access to good health care, and they die sooner. It's like people you love. It's your uncles, your aunts, people that just couldn't get the treatment in time, or couldn't afford it, or these kinds of things. You know who's going to get that? Motherfucking Sacklers. All of these guys, Jeff
Literal
Bezos.
murderers.
The worst kind of people are going to get the best kind of healthcare. They're going to get the best kind of physical lives anyways, have like all of these cares. They have no cares that we have, like as far as money goes at all. The number one biggest stress in most people's life, I would say, is money. And that's like something they just don't have to think about at all. They never have to consider they're going to they can fly over the world for whatever kind of cancer
Even look at
treatment they
Trump,
want.
a
for
guy
whatever
who's
kinda-
facing all this and literally doesn't even have the money for it, and he can still
and they're
just
like,
be
we'll
fine.
give you an extra time.
He can just be fine. It's like, look at Alex Jones, like nowhere near the level that Trump's at, and he gets is just gigantic, out of this world lawsuits levied against him, and he's still gonna be okay. I mean, sure, like he'll have the stress, he'll have all this stuff, but it's just like, I mean, look at all the harm that he did. Look at all this that he owes to these people and the world. Like he owes a debt. Like monetarily and just
Trump
like
gets a
figuratively,
break while
and
he's
just
under
gonna
investigation
just keep
for
doing what he's
other
doing.
fucking
Yeah.
crimes. Trump is literally under investigation. He's what you'd call a career motherfucking criminal,
Yeah.
and he's getting a fucking break. Oh my
No,
god!
he's going out there and raising money from those people that have that years of propaganda and just this greed cultivation has created this huge segments of the population that not only think it's okay, but give the guy money. Where he's like, he's talking about how he has all this money in his bank account, but he can't use it because, well, it's for my campaign. Bro, why are we even in this position? Like, and you've got, probably I got neighbors down the street probably that have given money to this guy. And we live in just a small town. He doesn't give a shit about you. He doesn't deserve the money.
Oh, yeah.
The
He
money
hates
shouldn't
you.
shouldn't go to these things.
He thinks you're fucking disgusting,
Yeah.
just so you know.
Exactly. He's like, you drive a pickup truck. He would hate you. He would just make
He
up
would
a
go
story
pretend
about
to
how
drive
you
it, go-
cried. If he
Yeah,
ever
you came
met
up to
you,
him,
he would
tears
just
in his eyes.
have your face in his head when he's like, yeah, this guy, good looking big guy, crying. He unzipped my pants and just got on his knees and said, oh,
Slob that knob.
oh God. But yeah, it is funny. You're talking about the person who donated and how, it goes back to like what we were saying last week, where it's like, the kids are spoiled or Americans are spoiled. It's like, yeah, don't you? I mean, not in every way, but in so many ways, in like tangible ways. Don't you want everyone to be spoiled, so-called? Is it like, what is progress? What is human innovation, technology?
And it's like, hard work made me who I am. And it's like, yeah, a bitter, resentful person.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that.
Someone who's
So I don't want to
bitter
fucking
because
work
they
like that.
wasted their life working.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't want that for you either.
It's like, yeah, and
God, I wouldn't have
if you're someone
chosen it
who
for you.
like accomplishes things, they always say you do what you want because then you never work a day in your life. Well, you know, I think this goes back to like episode like 2 or something, or maybe we never even brought it up and we were just talking about it.
Don't go back and listen,
on
people.
voice memos back and forth via WhatsApp, where it's like, what is this paradox? Where it's like no one wants to work anymore, but at the same time, they're the people that say, well, you gotta start your own business or do something that you enjoy doing because then it's not even work.
So you don't have to work. It's just doing what you love.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh, so what it all comes down to is like, just somehow make money. That's it.
Yeah,
Like-
because you know what the attitude is, though, that the devil's hands are idle playthings. No, idle hands are the devil's playthings.
I was
That
like,
other-
yeah,
is
that's
the
the
name of
saying,
a
right?
Futurama episode. Yeah,
That's a season 1 of Futurama.
it's season 3, I think, or season 4 or something. It's
season
one of my
3
favorite
finale.
episodes. But the devil's hand. Okay, idle. No, idle hands are the devil's playthings.
IDOL,
It's like
right? I know how this works.
like Billy Idle hands. And it's something that's sort of ingrained, like something like this is a real thanks a lot Puritans situation, I think. And kind of being home over the weekend, I
Yeah, what the fuck,
was
dude?
feeling really
You didn't even tell me.
had just help.
You could
I
have.
know because I wasn't even able
You could have come over and
No,
picked
I
up your
couldn't.
fucking rug. No.
No, I
I'm
couldn't.
just kidding.
Because I was helping them pack their house because they're moving. But
Yeah.
I was feeling bad for boomers, honestly. Like what it means to live, like to grow up with like a quote unquote like polite society, and like what you're allowed to say and the things you're allowed to feel and the
Suppressing.
way you're allowed to share your like and what it means and like how incredibly honest I'm able to be with the people in my life. Like I can be so open and vulnerable and totally myself and like you know it can be very scary, of course, but being surrounded by people who are there to listen and know you better and all this and how much stronger it makes you and more yourself and all this kind of stuff, like be yourself, what it truly means and how that's totally been taken from them their whole lives. Like you know, and generations before, like they just haven't been able to. Like there's very much like when we're talking about these standards of being and how to be and like how limiting it really is for people. That's what their life has been. You
And
know?
that's for the
It's
people that had
really
it good. That's for like white men, you know?
Oh
Where
yeah.
it's like, even it's like, oh gosh, that's the worst of your problems. You feel like you wasted your life. It's like, that's still like, that just shows what we live in. Like, you
How
know,
sad.
Puritan
You feel
work
like you wasted
ethic
your life.
making you waste your life for capital owners. That's what you do, you know? And it's like for a select few, you know, just another form of aristocracy continuing on as it has for hundreds of years, thousands of years, you know?
Millennia.
But yeah,
Ages
you know
and
when we
ages
didn't do
and
that is when
ages.
you know, we lived in communal societies.
There you go again. Yeah, talking all that. There's that talk we talked about again. I can't say it, but it's a quote from
Natalie.
Idiocracy.
Yeah, there's that talk, but
That flag talk.
There's
It's
that
about pride. Yeah.
talk.
Nice.
But yeah, they couldn't even jump out and just yell to the heavens
I'm tired of being a corporate shell.
without being regarded
You know?
as a total.
Yeah, and like a hippie and like all this kind of like
Yeah.
what the hippies
Just
are
lose
kind of
your
trying to go
livelihood.
against counterculture and punks and how all these things. It's like what's we've really been fighting against, and it just really, yeah, it's just very very oppressive like generation or a very oppressed generation, and it was making me really feel sad and like what that means, you know, on a broad for sure for society and like individual relationships and how much I feel like they would miss out on because they're afraid to like truly be themselves, like because of all of these structures and roles and norms that they have like lived within for so many years and like, you know, formative years and then decades of it being, you know, really reinforced over and over, and media and examples and other relationships that you see and all this, and how it limits personal relationships. Even like you could be a lot closer to these people in your life if you could let your guard down or come in with like, I don't know if it's less judgment or just like less expectation or whatever.
Who is gay, you know? Where it's like, if you weren't like, I mean, living in a large city and being what would be like considered to be like an activist just by being yourself, you know, 50 years ago or something like that, like, I mean, it's just like an example of that, like, waste of your life because you feel the need to suppress living, you know? You have to not live.
Suppress living.
Yeah.
You just have to be alive, but you can't live.
Yeah.
What a fucking bummer.
And that's for
what a
the
huge
people
bummer.
that had it good, let alone like, you know, poor, you know, people of color or something like that who have that, who are still have to fit into those societal roles while also being like legally oppressed, you know, by the government,
Actively
you know,
being
as another
like
layer
left out of things.
Yeah, on top of just like, you know, the systemic capital oppression, you know, like systemic racism, patriarchy, stuff like that. Yeah, it's a great way to stay in shape.
It's a real bummer, and it was really just making me feel a lot for boomers and how, like, if they are angry and all that, I could totally see why. Like, they have a lot of course, we all know it's like repressing things and like what that means. It doesn't go away. It just gets pushed down there, and how not having the tools to even like kind of deal with that, or not even really knowing like about like what the word anxiety to a boomer means a lot different than it does to a millennial or a Gen
snowflake.
Z or whatever.
Yeah. It's something that
and like what it means, it's like
just a bad
what
thing
you're talking
that you should
about,
never have.
Yeah, and it's like, but what you're describing right now, these extreme feelings, it's like that's anxiety. Like those are what those things. That thing you were feeling at the time of your divorce, that was probably pretty deep depression. That's why you were feeling that way. That's what we've been able to put some words to these feelings, and that can really help you get through it.
There is a great Come Town bit from a few years ago. That's Anthony Loneliano, I think, is the bit. You can find it on YouTube and stuff, but where it's like this guy. It's kind of that as a joke, you know. It's like. This guy, he's so New York Italian guy that he just doesn't have the words for the way he's feeling, you know, and where he's like calling up, what do they have, 211 or whatever it is, you know, like a hotline to call, where he's like, I don't know what it is, I just feel like I know I'm great, you know, things are, but I just there's something there, like I'm pissed off, but I'm not pissed off. It's like I'm self-pissed. I'm like self-pissed. They're like, well, you know, and the way that Nick Mullen does it so well,
that's really
the way
funny.
that he says it, they're like, what? I mean, have you ever been diagnosed with depression? It sounds, he's like, hey, oh, depression. Nobody said anything about that. I said I'm self-pissed. Did you not hear me? You know, and it's like not being able to even reconcile this stuff. It's like, that's a funny version of it, but that's kind of what you're saying. Like, you can't even accept these things as just realities like we have been able to. It's like our whole snowflake millennial therapy generation, gee whiz. Like, no wonder like
we're so in touch with our goddamn feelings.
It's like, no wonder we're finally raising children to be to have better to be kind, to have more empathy, to have like to finally break these cycles. I mean, I've seen this sort of thing on Twitter, and I think I was talking to a listener, shout out to Mia again, about exactly that, where it's like, no, like we could see anecdotal versions of this and stuff, but there's probably something to it with this this generational shift, and maybe because of the bad positions we've been put in these certain like economic ways and things like that, but also just progress happens. We're still, people are learning, no matter how much anti-woke freaking people want to deny it. It's helping forward humanity, us learning more about emotions, psychology,
all of us going to fucking college, the most educated generation like in U.S. history.
That
we're all
these,
thinking about things.
That all this snowflake ideology affects material, your material conditions, and only by knowing these things can you make any sort of change about it, except that it's like, well, who knows? Even if it was like, our generation has 20% more people that have anxiety problems or something. Even if that is the case, and it's not just like
diagnosed, I guess.
No, I'm saying like even if it's
if you actually do,
if it's like it really is like that, we could still actually deal with it because you can accept that it is a thing that exists that affects people that you work around. And, slowly changing the way that we interact with each other. We just all be tiptoeing little snowflake assholes about it. Oh, no. Gosh, look at this. Society's slightly better for a bunch of people. Oh, no.
Yeah, because we were nicer to each other.
Children are more easily able to learn because instead of like freaking out about kids having ADHD, we actually just decided to deal with it, accept that it exists and it is a reality for people. Even if it's like,
that's okay.
Even if there's just a straight up link, they're like, wow, look at these, all of these, there's a meta-analysis. Everything points to the fact that SpongeBob gives kids ADD, or something. It's like, okay, well, kids have ADD then, fine, let's work with it.
And I'd be like, oh,
yeah. And they're like, they're like, oh, teaching in class, who changes their gender every day? We do. It's like
millennial
and it's like all the kids, and we can just brainwash them into reading gender queer every day in school and not learning math. No.
Gender queer.
Meanwhile, Florida just combusts. But it's like, I don't know. There's all these setbacks because progress isn't good
because
for the
capitalism
people.
is bad.
Isn't good for the people in power. They're not there because of progress. They're there because of the opposite. That's just the way that it works. Yeah, progress over profit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like you've got a campaign to run. You better get going.
Yeah.
You're ugly. You're disgusting. I'm going to kill you.
See, and you can deal with that.
And I think you got what it takes.
You're in touch with your feelings. You can deal with it. Like, I'm just like, okay, Natalie.
You're ugly.
But,
I got used to it because you would just tell that to me all the time.
I'd say,
go kill yourself. Go sit in the middle of the road and let a car run over you.
I'd say that every day before school.
I do want to take a second to say, people have these stories. I don't know, did I mention this on the last podcast? That people have stories about like their big brothers, especially. Yeah, me neither. I never did. But people talk about their big brothers and how like, the stereotype of them like torturing their siblings. Did I already say this? Well, anyways.
No, I don't think so.
I was like, I said it at work the other day. I was like, I just want to say it's never, ever been like that with my brother. He's always been so nice. We've always been close.
Yeah.
We've never, ever Emily and I would bicker and whatever. We had kind of stuff like that. But
sure.
You were never mean to us ever. Like at all.
Yeah.
Big brothers are notoriously like kind of annoying assholes a little bit, even if it's like kind of funny or whatever, like just being like antagonistic. We're not like that. We never felt like you never like yelled at us to go away. You never like, we were always all really cool with each other. And I was like, I'm so incredibly grateful. I was like, I just can't really
I've come
like
across
relate
that.
to people with like brothers like that, where I'm like, it's just like,
I
it's
always
not
come
like
across that on
at
the
all.
internet where they're like, something just, someone being insanely annoying or like past that point, someone being assaulted and someone taking it on the chin or something like, oh, well, this person, they had older siblings growing up. I'm like, yeah, shitty ones. What the fuck? Who does that?
Like,
and it's like, it's so
like,
common,
what kind of...
that I don't know. I blame the parents. For not being
That's what I
snowflakes
told-
enough.
I told Dad the other day, I was like, thank you so much, for like, we are close. I mean, we can all say
don't
whatever
agree
kind of
on
trauma
everything.
and kind of other stuff with whatever. Or I mean, like, you and me and Emily are all very, very, very close siblings. We
You and me and who?
pretty much agree on everything, but who cares? But it's like been a thing that I don't take it for granted because I'm very grateful for it, but that we're all really, it's like never even a question
You
in my
don't take it
mind
for
as to whether or not
granted.
if my siblings are gonna like be there for me.
Yeah.
It's like if I,
Let alone it was
gonna
like,
be there
well,
in whatever way.
I had an older sibling, so yeah, of course I got beat up all the time. What the fuck? Why is that normal?
I'm like,
what are you talking about?
I had an older sibling. I know that I've always had like a best friend
Yeah.
in my life. That's like more of what it is.
Yeah, it is.
But that's
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, gosh, I guess I was lucky. I was spoiled, by that. And it's like, that's the problem, that can happen for everyone, and it doesn't. So I know we've got listeners who have good relationships with their siblings. Of course,
100%.
It's like it's just. Sorry,
it's just totally their
sucks
fault.
to
No, I'm just
suck,
kidding.
bro. No.
No. Yeah, I am so profoundly grateful for my siblings. It's like, I don't know what I would do without you guys.
Okay.
It's like I wouldn't be the same
All right.
person that I am.
Okay.
And I just
Don't blame us for how you are. No.
yeah.
Stop roping
I wouldn't
us
be
into
the way
this.
I am.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't be who I was today without you. Ooh, I'm adjusting an invisible tie.
Boring.
That's who you're gonna. That's what I'm responsible for.
No,
huh?
thank Dad for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, well, we'll start wrapping this up. What else did I have? Ben Shapiro said retirement is stupid. This thing keeps bringing up my keyboard, and it's really making me mad. Here we go. So I found this very interesting piece of scientific information from wolframalpha.com. How many calories are in a cubic light year of ham? And I see here that it's and then I was like, wow, it's been a long time since I've been to school, because this is how you use scientific notation. And I was like, oh my God, I am almost
For
36
ham.
years old. I haven't been to school for a long time. But yeah, how many calories are in a cubic light year of ham? It's 1.5 times 10 to the 54th dietary calories, which I guess, so yeah, that would be, 54 zeros, right? Is that what it is? 10 to the 54th?
I took everyday math in college and a logic class. So.
My problem is that, like, I did decent with math, and I kind of enjoyed it here and there. Oh, it's so awesome. This website puts actually creates a little nutrition facts label. How much protein
For
it
what
is. Let's see,
What
1.893
percent of
times
your daily
10 to
value?
the 50th kilograms of protein. So, yeah, it's 3.787 times 10 to the 53rd, 10 to the 53rd power percent of your daily value of protein. But even me being decent with math, kind of liking it and stuff. And even then, I did pre-calculus, and I finished it up my junior year of high school and didn't do any math ever again. I started taking a calculus class. I was like, no, never mind. I dropped it. Never took any more math. I dropped it in the first week where you could just withdraw and not have it affect your score, and then just had a free hour where I could go hang out with my girlfriend and waste time instead. I was like, I'm not going to take... Oh, here we go.
Better use.
Related queries. The amount of saturated fat in 39 moon masses of bread stuffing.
I want to just tell you this joke that just popped in my head when you said related queries, and this is like outer space. I was thinking about Freddie Mercury. Because he's a queer and his last name is Mercury. So I just wanted to put that out there because that's like a space place and he's a gay.
Speaking of
queer.
Speaking of just
bad jokes.
Gets I wish I had been able to press that faster.
Gets.
Speaking of a bunch of it's totally unrelated, not speaking of at all. No, but I had tried. Now I don't even remember what the Simpsons reference was, but I made a Simpsons reference last week, and then I listened to Chapo Trap House, and someone brought up the same reference. Then I listened to the Patreon episode of Chapo Trap House, and they had someone on that from a podcast that now I want to subscribe to that covers Quora. They're on Quora all the time, and they were discussing...
I've been seeing the Quora things come into our email lately. God. It's been insane.
You know why? Because I interacted with some stuff on Quora.
I figured that's exactly where it came from.
And you know what, though?
Crazy.
Quora, crazy, man. It is... You can get to straight white nationalist stuff even faster than on Twitter. It is wild. It is... Quora... You see some of the corners of Quora, it's like, oh, this is where people go after they get kicked off of Twitter for being too racist. Like, they just straight up have the...
Because it's like a place for any question, right?
Have it written out as NI663RS. Saw that so many times. I was like, Jesus Christ! Like, even that would get flagged by... X.com, like, good God.
It seems like that would be one of the things that it would know that people are doing.
It is wild. But, let's see. So now the Quora stuff, it's all just like totally not even believable bait from conservatives saying, why do leftist liberals think that children should get murdered? Or something like genuine
if
question.
Leftists started fascism or whatever, it was
why did the left start?
God.
Why did the left start the Nazi Party? I'm just wondering. How come no one talks about that? Like, what are you doing here, dude? What is the purpose of this other than to waste my time because I'm going to read it?
Because this is infuriating and I can't even believe this is out there.
Oh my God.
Boring.
Well, I'll let you go.
Bye.
Everyone, make sure you figure out the answer to the amount of vitamin D in 81 Neptune masses of sauerkraut.
There will be a test.
Shout out to R.M. Brown. Shout out to
our Lord and Savior.
To Zach and Umberto.
Zach.
And Discontent Provider and Wendy. And
Emily sometimes. Alana also
cares?
likes to listen to sometimes when nice.
No.
She misses me.
No, the person listening right now. Shout out to you.
Benita.
I personally love you.
Thanks for letting us vent and be cynical for a moment and say that people deserve to die.
Boring.
Because when we really comes down to it, we say everyone deserves healthcare healthcares, even those Nazis. But you know what? I take that back. The head of Exxon, he doesn't
Okay.
deserve anything.
Yep.
Fuck him.
Bitches leave.
All right, bye.
Bye.